That's the team that plays to win for you and me.
How many times can you say, and this is what made these guys champions, wouldn't matter what was wrong with them, they just go out and give their all, regardless of the state of the game, or whether they were 10 goals in front, 10 goals behind, whether they were a crook, whether they were injured. Because I reckon desire is the greatest motivating force there is. If you really want something badly enough, you can achieve it, regardless of the state of play and regardless of how you're feeling, mentally, physically, the conditions. You just make sure you give your all.
Welcome back, Shimboners. How about that for an intro from club legend Dennis Pagan? We know he's going to be giving the pre-game speech to the boys, and if that doesn't give you goosebumps up the back, all over the arms, and get you ready to run through a brick wall, then I don't know what will. Chief, welcome back. Very special pod for us today as we celebrate a really important week for the footy club, our 100-year anniversary game tomorrow night against the Dogs. We will get to a preview of the actual game, but before then we want to celebrate some magical moments from those 100 years. So welcome back, and how are you?
I'm pumped. I'm ready to run through the brick wall for Dennis and go out and give my all. So let's hope the players tomorrow in the first quarter, after receiving great words similar to that from Dennis, will turn it on and we'll win the first quarter.
Well, that's
win the first contest.
Exactly. And you know that there'll be at least half of the team will do it. We just hope that everyone buys in and plays with that same mentality. But speaking of big news for the day, we've got to get to it. Straight off the press a couple of hours ago, my man Sonic, Colby McKercher, has signed an extension until the end of 2028, which is brilliant news.
Yes, takes the first year of the Tassie Devils off the table. And we were never concerned, because being Launcestonians, we know that it's actually quicker to get to Melbourne than Hobart, generally.
Yeah, well,
I don't think there was a big come-home factor for him to go and live in Hobart. But he's a proud Tasmanian, as we are, and he'd love to represent the map. But he's part of the Shimboner squad now, so that's where he'll stay.
Exactly, and by the time his contract's up in 2028, he'll probably be looking to go back-to-back, I reckon. He won't be wanting to go to a start-up, he'll be looking to
that's right.
Consolidate the 27 flag, Chief.
That's exactly right.
We're positive today.
We were up and about. It took a couple of days on the downers, but we're back up and about.
Very much so.
Dennis got us up. And he mentioned those two legends in the room.
Which, obviously, the video wasn't there, but it was Glenn Archer and Anthony Stevens that he was referring to.
Wasn't us.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It was Glenn Archer and Steve-O, and that clip came from about 10 years ago, didn't it?
2017, I think.
Oh,
just stumbled across it
that'll
today.
be 10 years from our next premiership.
Yeah. Then let's talk about, quickly, while we're on contracts, a lot of hysteria during the week as Joey Montagna on First Crack talked about Big Game Zane being potentially disgruntled and not in love with the footy club, vice versa, both ways. So I think just hold on that. I'm sure all the online forums have gone nuts about it, but he also said that there'd be big chance Colby would leave to Tassie, and a couple of days later he's put pen to paper. So
proved wrong. So hopefully he's proved wrong, and it's just a lot of white noise about Big Game Zane.
Oh, we hope so. Right, so obviously we all love the North Melbourne Footy Club. We've had 5 flags in our history, 4 for the men, 1 for the women. So let's just go through each one. You can give your little background story of what your memories are of that day. So 75 and 77 would have been just a little, Chief.
It's just a little, Chief, yeah. Just it's too long ago. I didn't really appreciate the 75, that it was our first one. I was too young to appreciate, but I was just happy that the Kangas got up and won.
And also 50 years since that first flag as well, it's worth noting. Hopefully they do something in the remaining rounds to do a separate celebration for those fellas as well. But I don't know, I don't really want to go into the whole politics around that. We're going to say upbeat, but Ron Barassi leading a flag in 75 and 77, very special time for the North Melbourne Footy Club.
Yeah, I remember the 77 one a lot clearer. That was just fantastic. The draw to start with, we came from 27 down at 3/4 time. Like, you think especially back in those days where it was a lot of kick it long. There's, not as much, tactics,
carry,
I suppose.
free
But
flowing.
yeah, what Brass did say, he had form in that with when he coached Carlton, and they came from, I think, 44 down. So he had form as a coach. And yeah, he got us to run and take it on, and we ended up winning. Oh, not winning, drawing, and then we came out and flogged them the next week.
And the common theme between the two premiership coaches in Dennis and Ron Barassi is they didn't mind a spray, didn't mind telling you that you might not be going as well as you could be.
No, if you didn't put your head over the ball, you'd certainly learn all about it.
So very interesting. And then we move on to the 90s where Dennis created a dynasty and took us to 7 straight prelims with that fantastic group of the 90s. Only 2 flags, but they are very hard to win, as you'll often hear the great man say. So
Yeah, I think the 70s and 90s, very comparable eras where we were very dominant, made a lot of grand finals and preliminary finals. But probably 2 premierships each. Would have been nice to get 3 each in those. Get us up to 6, because I think we certainly had the team to do it. I think the 70s, if I was to compare the pair, probably had the more high-rated players in the first probably half a dozen, maybe 10, maybe they were a bit higher. Whereas obviously the 90s we had superstar Wayne Carey, and then a lot of good players under him.
yeah,
Probably not as like the 70s. You had a lot of superstars in their own right: Blight, Dench, Shimmer, Greg. Yeah, I could probably go on. I'm probably missing a couple. But
Dench, did you say Dench?
Yeah, I said Dench. Anyway, yeah, so interesting. I think they both should have won at least one extra premiership each.
And then a very lean period in the 2000s, obviously, but we got some celebrations last year with our AFLW girls bringing home the silverware. Another one you could probably argue could have won 1 or 2 before that, but I think start of a dynasty right now.
Well,
with the
you
girls.
know, I'm on record saying it's going to be 9 in a row, so we'll just enjoy the AFLW for the next decade, I think. But going back to the 2000s, I mean, we were just falling off our 90s highlights, I suppose, and we're still there or thereabouts in the early 2000s. Then under Laidley, we probably overachieved a little bit in finals, like the old Shimbona spirit. We won a few games we probably shouldn't have, and then got to finals and won a few, made a prelim. And probably the same under Brad Scott. We probably just felt we missed finals narrowly for a few years, and then we finally got to finals, but we had to. They were all elimination finals, but we still managed to make a couple of prelims. But
overachieved because we're never top 4 sides.
well, we didn't have
making it from outside.
We didn't have the
top 4.
glamour. You know, take Boomer probably out of the equation. We didn't have a lot of glamour players. We didn't have the Chris Judds of the world.
No, we had sort of the tier below, didn't we? We had the
Yeah.
Higginses, the Wells, Nicky Dow.
And we
That was
probably
the back
fell
end.
off in the bottom 6. Probably fell off a bit more than the stronger teams of the era. I mean, you look at the Geelongs, the depth they had. I mean, they just had 8 All-Australians every year, pretty much.
Yeah. But you mentioned the Shimbona spirit, and I wanted to talk about that this pod because it's such a synonymous term with the footy club. We love it, the never say die attitude, something you can really pinpoint in North Melbourne footy sides, but it's something that sort of, Brad Scott was one to take it out of the vocabulary there for a while, and once with everything that happened to Boomer and Drew and the other guys, it was a very dark time to recover for that, but we're starting to see some of that come back. I mean, Clarko was one when he came in, knocked all the walls down, one club, sort of bringing back that identity a little bit. But it's a great thing, the Shimbona spirit, and it's something that makes us different as a fan base, and of course the players when they go on there and represent that jumper as well.
Yeah, smaller club like Dennis Pagan in the 90s are working out of temporary offices. But as I used to say, 50k weight was still a 50k weight. Didn't need to be nice, shiny and brand new. And they just did the hard work and they embraced it. They were a battling club, struggling for money, struggling for all the nice, shiny toys that the bigger, more finance club had. But it doesn't matter because once you take the field, it's 2 posts, there's a set of goals at either end. You just got to get the ball through it. And
Yeah.
stop the other team doing the same.
Doesn't matter how many brown paper bags you have at Vizzy Park and
No, or cardboard box sponsorships or cotton on sponsorships. Anyway, well, let's not go down that path. We're celebrating 100 years.
we are. So we're going to draft today 5 players each that we'd, if we were building a team, that we'd pick from the North Melbourne Legends, and then later on this season, after the season, we'll be doing a full side. So just the 5 today. I'll give you the new ball.
I demanded it. No, it's your pod. If you want
You have the new ball.
How generous. So, seeing I get pick 1, you can have pick 2 and 3.
Right.
And then we'll go straight for straight, so to speak.
Sounds good. And this is a bit off the cuff, so we've probably missed a couple. But
Yeah, well, we started like you brought up the idea last week, and I went W. Carey, the king. So he's my number 1 pick in the North Melbourne all-time.
Well, I'm going to go Glenn Archer. I mean, Shimboner of the century. The accolades don't get much higher than that. We know the legend he is. But I'm also going to take Wayne Shimmerbush.
What?
Yes, and he'd be the captain of my side too.
My man. Well, for naming captains, Carey will be my captain. So, all right. So you've taken my all-time favourite. Thanks for that. That's a bit of a hill move. That's like bidding on a father-son or something. All right, my next pick, I think I might go... Well, we're talking about the eras. A great from the 70s, Keith Greig. Play on the wing, dual Brownlow medalist. Give great delivery to Carey, which is something he's probably not that used to.
Yeah.
So they just kick it long to him, they will actually lace him out.
Speaking of great delivery, the best inside 50 kick I've ever seen, I'd take with my next pick in Brent Boomer Harvey, club legend, 432 games. He'd be top 3 of my favourite all-time players, Boomer, and the ultimate competitor, and never gave up.
No. Okay. I'm sticking the 70s. Bit of a generational divide here. With my next pick, I'll pick David Dench. Premiership captain, can play fullback, attack off fullback. I spoke about him last pod, so I won't go into that again, but can swing him forward if needed.
Good choice. I'm going to match your error, and I'm going to go probably, or a bit later on, but Malcolm Blight. I'll take Blighty in my side.
70s, early 80s, yeah. He slipped a bit low. They wouldn't be happy. The slider.
Maybe a draft bolter.
No, slider. Bolter's one you picked early.
Sorry, slider.
He's a slider. Yeah, okay. My next pick. Right, I'll go Ross Glendinning. Just another Brownlow medalist. Got plenty of the bling on mine. And, yeah, centre-half back. Again, you can throw him forward if needed.
And for my last pick...
Big barrel chest too. He'll run through them.
My last pick, you can't have one without the other. So I've got Arch, so I'm going to grab Steve-O as well for some midfield grunt, Anthony Stevens.
His best mate.
Yeah.
Okay, well, last pick. Well, I'll go back even before my era. I'll go Les Foote. He was a Sid Barker medalist too, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, club captain.
Yeah, named in the team of the century, so we'll take him.
Well, I think I win because...
You win?
Hang on. You might have the greatest player of all time, but Arch will sort him out pretty quick.
No,
As long as we're playing 90s, 80s rules,
yes.
you might be in a bit of
But
trouble.
don't worry, the Duck could look after himself.
Yeah, but there's a famous moment when he was in Adelaide and the big Glenn just cocked the barrel and he might have taken a short step at the Duck.
Yeah, no, well, that wasn't in Adelaide. He was playing for Adelaide.
That's what I said.
When
When he was at Adelaide, I meant.
okay.
That
That's Friday night fixture. What great fixturing from the AFL. Friday night, hype game. I think about 48,000. Packed it out.
I can't believe our game this week isn't Friday night. Just to go
Well,
off.
we invented Friday night. You think we could have got Friday night, and it probably would have been better for all those who say it's hard to get to the game on Thursday, and probably the 70 eras players might have appreciated Friday night more. But anyway, we've got Thursday, and it's standalone on TV. Let's hope we shall. Would have given our players who are very sore an extra day's break too, which might come in handy. But as Dennis said in the intro, doesn't matter if you're sore.
You just go out and give your all.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking today as I was driving to work, who would you like if you were in a bit of a bar fight? So who would you like backing you up all time from the North Footy Club? And you've got your obvious ones like Arch. But I was thinking of a few sort of other ones. Obviously, Big X. I mean,
Oh,
he-
yeah.
he'd be in there.
Oh, you clear it out.
Yeah.
They just see him walk through the door and, nah, this is too hard for me. I'm getting out of here.
The first one that came to my head, outside of Archer actually, and he's a bit of a forgotten man. I think he played 270 games, but Spud Ferrito.
Yes.
He's got a few angry pills. Daniel Pratt as well. He'd throw him.
Yeah, I think I'd take Spud over Praddy, in all fairness.
Scotty Thompson, he might not be the most equipped, but he'd have a
Well,
crack.
he'd start the fight.
Yeah.
He'd be niggling someone and start the fight.
And
But
then
I'd take anyone from the famous Shimbona era of the 1950s. I think
Yeah.
it was the 50s when they were that's where the nickname sort of came to, where they were just a feared backline.
And I've got a couple more. Obviously, we're going to miss some because it's just off the top of my head. Jack Zeeble. And I've got the finisher. I've got a nickname him the finisher when, he might not be there at the start, but he'll finish it, and that's Byron. Big Byron. He'll come in and
yes.
throttle him.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Right, that's a bit of a loose idea that I had in my head. Anyway, let's start to look at the game. So the last time we met the Dogs was round 1 this year. We lost by 16 points. Larky kicked 5. Sheasel had 31, and our skipper had 30 in a goal, and he's going to need a big game tomorrow night. And I'm going to continue the trend of looking... Oh, actually, before I do, just a side note that Charlie Comben, people were a bit critical on his game, but looking back now, he kept Darcy to 1 goal, which, God,
Yeah.
you take that.
Well, that's your first job as a defender, to keep your man quiet.
So the last time we beat the Dogs was way back Brad Scott's last game.
Wow.
Round 10, 2019, and had some of our best that day. Higgins had 34. My man Cunners had 29 in the goal. And one of Scott's favourites, Todd Goldstein, 28 disposals, 57 hit-outs and 6 clearances.
Yep.
Fair game from him.
Lazy 57.
Yeah.
With the left hand. He used to be able to lace them out too, being a left-hander.
You've just reminded me, if you watch the club put up some highlights of Colby McKerch today after he re-signs, he bounces with his right hand.
Yeah. Well, they mentioned that in the call.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I actually watched the replay. Can you believe that?
No,
That's
that is genuine torture.
Yeah, well, it's called research for the pod. That's what I put it down to. And, yeah. Anyway,
Well,
they did
good.
mention that I think it might have been Gerard Healy who mentioned that. And, yeah, another thing on Colby, I think it's smart of his manager, what they've done. Because Tassie can have a look at, see who Tassie recruit. Not that I think he's coming back to Tassie, but his manager, short-term contract, next one will be a big one, whether it's from North or from Tassie, and he can sit back and watch who Tassie recruits, see how they go, and then he'll be out of contract player. They can sign him for free. So I don't know what the compo will be to North if he does decide to come back. I still don't think he will.
Well, just
let me
to-
make that clear. But his manager, because I think North want him to sign 4 or 5 years. But his manager says, no, give us 2. That gives you coverage. He won't be going first year, but they'll be able to have a look.
But nobody's doing that. Like, just to sidetrack for a second, Miles Bergman, most wanted man just about in Australia at the moment.
Yeah.
9 or 10 year offer from Port Adelaide. He signed 2.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to that Tassie.
Oh,
to
Tassie
see
coming in is huge, and I think we're going to see more of that. I reckon we'll probably see the same from Harley Reid.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
But just on Colby, to ease some of our listeners' minds, we've got a lot of similar connections, Colby and I. Obviously from Launceston, and everyone who's close to him, I hear that he's very happy.
Yep.
He loves the Melbourne lifestyle. He's
Yep.
always wanted the Melbourne lifestyle, and he's very happy at the North Melbourne Footy Club. So
Yeah, and it's a 40-minute trip by plane.
I wouldn't.
And it's a 3-hour drive to Hobart, basically, from door to door.
If it was one of those risk meters, he's right on the lower end.
There's always a risk. Like even Dacos said he hasn't ruled out Nick Dacos. So there's a risk for everyone.
Of course, and the money's going to be.
Money's going to be huge. But
Extraordinary.
he'll get his big payday, whether he stays at North or he does move to Hobart.
Anyway,
We're calling it Hobart, not Tassie. That's how.
well, if the stadium gets built, they're not going to just play 6 games in Hobart. That's not going to be a 6-6 split. But we're getting off track now. Let's get back to.
Isn't we celebrating North?
We are,
Yeah.
but not talking Tassie for this week anyway. So big news out. I've just seen that Harry Sheasel has said on his regular programming with Dwayne the Pain that he's playing. So that's great to see him there. In more concerning news, they had the captain's run indoors today. No Parker, no McDonald, no Archer, and no Comben. present for that one. So hopefully that's just precautionary.
Was that the basketball court?
Yeah, it must be. Indoor cricket. Sammy Wright come back to
Sammy Wright will come back, take some polls.
Yeah, J-Mac.
You know who loved it? Patch
Adams.
Patch Adams.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe sort out the midfield and we'll get a few clearances. Yeah, no, loved it. So, yeah, we haven't got the big indoor arena like some of them.
No.
But
definitely more than what Dennis and Co had, though.
No doubt. Yes. They had no indoor stuff. They had the upstairs of the old grandstand, I think, with a few treadies up there. That was about it.
So having a look at the changes to the team, obviously we're recording on a Wednesday afternoon. It's purely speculative. Teams haven't dropped, but I have seen a lot of chatter that Cooper Harvey is a big chance to come in. So I'm going purely speculative.
I think he should come in, Coop. I think he's done enough. He's doing really well at half back. So at the very least, he'd be a perfect sub. I mean, we've obviously got some injuries, got some out of form players who we probably want omitted. And I think he'd be a perfect sub because he could back line and forward line. He's got the skills. Oh, he deserves to go.
Yep.
But I'm not saying he might not be the sub. He might be full-time. Might get the full-time gig.
So I'm going to go into my team changes I'd like to see. So I'll go player by player. So we all know George Wardlaw's not playing this week. If Will Phillips doesn't play this week, he may as well do a David Dench and just pack his locker up and head out. Because if he doesn't play this week, he's never going to play.
Excuse me. Yeah, no, I agree. It's a like for like. And Parker's under a cloud. So we can actually run one less midfielder because we've got 100 in there. You just run Jai in instead of playing the wing half forward.
Oh, well, let's try and put Harry Sheasel in
Yeah, exactly. We've got options. So we run probably an extra midfielder anyway and they play out of position, half forward or wing. So we could bring two mids out if Parker can't get up and one in. And we won't change the team that much.
Zach Fisher, next one, he has to be omitted. After we've discussed at length last pod about some of his efforts. I'd love to see Zach Bench come in, but no video yet. No FaceTiming mum and dad to say he's playing. So I think maybe Cooper Harvey might be the replacement there. And Robbie Hanson Jr. might play the full game. And then Cooper's the sub as you floated there. If Chom's fit and firing, well, good enough to go. He's not going to be fit and firing.
He'll be firing, but he won't be fit.
Yeah. If he's right to go, do not want to see the club drop Will Dawson. I'd be dropping Logue for the absolute foot rope that he was giving his opponents last week. So if Chom's good to go and they go 3 talls, then go with Dawson over Logue. Go for the future.
Well, who plays? I know you're going through your ins and outs, but who are you playing on the giant, Darcy?
Well, Chom, if he plays.
You're not playing Dawson on him?
If Chom plays on him.
Yeah, okay. Who's Dawson get?
Probably Norton.
And who's their third tall?
We'll get to that a bit later on.
Okay.
To see what they go. They have Buku Kamas, but they've been sort of rotating him as sub or not sub. So we'll get to that a bit later on. But Jack Darling, we know he's out for 2 weeks with a groin. So Finbar's got to come in there. He did some extra ruck in the VFL last week.
Well, I did see him in the ruck. He looked. I'm not saying he's skinny, but he did look undersized compared to, if you look at X or they had a massive ruckman. I know their third one on the AFL list. I can't think of his name. Reeves?
Yeah, well, he's 211 or something.
Yeah, so he's massive. But he's going to have to. I think to play, he has to take some centre bounces. And we expect... I'm getting into the preview area. You're giving me the glare, so we'll keep going through the ins and outs.
If Elmac doesn't play, I'd love to see Archer in. But then there's a big chance he won't play either. So it's really hard to sort of say at the moment. But and with Parker under an injury cloud as well, could we see Zane Dersma come back in? He's kicked another 3 in the VFL. We know the talent that he can be as a high half forward / winger. What do you think on Zane's chances to play?
Well, I think they're... Pardon me. I think they're 50-50. I think, that's a good call to bring him in. He's got the height. He can play... I don't know if he's got the tank to be a full-time winger, but he could probably run through their patches and... you want the Bull to get more midfield minutes, and obviously Kane's listening.
Yeah, Kane Corns.
Kane Corns had a big rundown on that on the agenda setters.
No, it was on Fireball.
I was on Fireball, was it? I was on something.
Yeah, he was...
You sent it through to me. You must have sent it through to Kane.
Yeah. Well, he's just... If Parker and Wardlaw's not playing, but if Parker doesn't play as well, then there's more opportunities. I'm not saying, just to clarify this once and for all, that he should be playing in the midfield full time. Once a quarter, especially if we've got...
We can't win clearances like last week. Put him in there. Because they had stats on that thing you sent through to me that we're +9 or something over his career when he's in there.
Yeah.
So he does win the ball. And he's probably not an elite user out of the stoppage, but he'll get it out quick and fast and forward. And at least it will stop the rot. We'll be able to start defending from the back. Well, from our forward line.
And if Elmac's out, then I think Foster's perfect just to put back there. You know he's going to go hard at every contest. He can play the half-back position quite well. Sort of been floating between half-back and the wing.
Yep.
But especially if Elmac's not there, I'd love to see him back there.
Yeah, third. What's Elmac? Well, he's probably the fourth tall, isn't he? So we probably drop a little bit of height. Foster's only just over 180, 182 type. Elmac's 189?
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, so he's a little bit
But
taller.
the Bulldogs don't really
But
have
Foster's
that
probably
hybrid.
Foster's good over. No, they don't. We'll get to the matchup. So I was going to see who their third or fourth tall is. They go pretty short, don't they? They're either giants or they're short.
Well, let's just get into the matchups now. So, as we always start with the midfield, the ruck battle was an interesting one. Big X against Tim English. Over the journey, X has really beaten him quite convincingly as well. So, that'll be really important. But the Dogs are absolutely stacked in the midfield. They've got your in and unders, your Libba. They've got the best player in the comp, in my opinion, Marcus Bontempelli. Riley Sanders runs through there occasionally. Matt Kennedy's been a huge acquisition for them. Ed Richards having a really good season. And then they've got Baby Bont, Joel Frazier, who can go through there as well. So they are absolutely stacked through that midfield. And just on Riley Sanders, still not happy with the AFL for chop and changing the old academy rules. Well, he'd be nice in our side right now.
Don't get me started on the whole draft. I've got my work in progress, and it was meant to drop it tonight, but it's been too busy. I think I'll park it to the finals.
Right, okay, I like
Just
that.
so we've got more to talk about.
So let's have a look at the forward line that you would... Oh, sorry, the midfield, that's where we were. Then you look at ours. The Dogs don't generally tag, but we have been killed time and time again by the Dogs in that midfield, the likes of Libba, particularly Bontempelli. I mean, you lock him in for 35 and 3 every time he plays us, it seems. And the other one, who used to kill us all the time, was Caleb Daniel. When he was at the Dogs, he used to have high 30s against us all the time. So let's see how he goes against his former side for the second time.
Yes, and it's a quick hands. The over-the-head handball, in inverted commas, although they've changed the rules on the handball, so you're basically allowed to throw it if it looks like a handball these days. Unless you're elder you and someone's half tackling you, then it's holding the ball. But yeah, quick, fast hands around the stoppages, and Bont, we can't stop him.
One of our mids, it's imperative that they be defensive minded. You've got to put work into the Bont.
Yeah, because he's a very good kick. So if he comes out the front of the stoppage, he'll use the ball, and he's not going to panic. He's too good to panic. He's not going to dump kick it. So at least be defensive side of him and be there to put some pressure on. And if you get a chance to tackle, stick the damn tackle. Because as a club, we have too many broken tackles.
That's another reason why it's so important to get Will Phil in there, because he will do the defensive side.
I know he's 6'4", but you can still tackle him around the hips, make him force a handball. But just don't let him get past. If he breaks a tackle, then he's out on his own.
The problem with the Dogs is all their mids are really good users. Like, you could probably make the argument that Kennedy's about the only one that's not.
Yeah.
But even him, he's having a great year.
Is good, isn't he?
He's elite.
He's just come from nowhere. That Frazier, no one had heard of him 18 months ago.
Yeah, he won in the game last week.
Yeah.
I watched that game quite closely, the Dogs last week, and he was enormous.
Well, I think he was really good against us in round 1.
Yeah.
And I think he was playing on Harry.
He was really good against us last year when no one had heard of him.
Yeah. So, anyway. A lot of work to do. They've got the half-backs, another area they attack from, like all teams. Well, certainly all good teams.
Yes. Well, let's go there, right? So, round 1 preview pod for any long-time boners. How many times did I talk about the need to put work into Bailey Dale, particularly when some little Lockie McNeil tip rat gets at 50 out and points at the goals. And
marks at 50 out, yeah.
And we'd fall asleep and Dale would go around the back, get the handball. I think he kicked 2 against us.
He did. Twice he did it.
One time was my man Cam fell asleep,
Yep.
and I can't think who it was.
Well, it's the half forwards, isn't it? It's the half forwards who have got the whole team presses up, so it's a half forward or even the full forward line. You just got to be aware of it. Just you got to have eyes on him, arm across.
You got to do work on him. They have to be
He did it
not
twice.
necessarily a hard tag, but I'm talking even out of the back line.
Yeah.
I'm not saying necessarily a hard tag, but they've got to put work into him because outside of that, they love the ball in his hands. But you look at their other halfbacks like Joe Hannison, he's not the player he used to be. Lockie Bramble was really good Friday night, but Lockie's a mid-season draft pick up as well after his time at Hawthorn, so he's not your elite user really either. So outside of that, they've got Caulfield and the likes, but there has to be if we let Bailey Dale do what he wants out of half back, he will cut us to pieces, and the forward pressure has to be there. We've got can't let him do the little 25 metre, get the handball back, and then have that 70 metre play, because that's where the dogs will get out the back of our press and get some really easy looks into the likes of Darcy and Norton.
Our assertive defensive press, which got found out last week. And it works. I don't mind it, but there has to be pressure up the ground. And as you're saying, if he can get a 70-metre play, the 1-2, and then kick it 55 to someone leading out the back, we're going to be hurt.
Big trouble. So let's have a look at that key defensive stock. So Donald will probably get the Larky matchup. Suf kicked 5 on him in round 1. Did a really good job. It's been out of form. 5 last week. Is that the turn in form that we've needed from him? Really important for him to stand up as the vice captain of the club. And if we don't, not having Darling, there's serious concerns around Parker as well. So they're our senior leaders out. We need him to stand up and really lead from the front.
Yep.
Then I've obviously got the Lobster, Rory Lobb, as well. So he'll probably play on Finbar or CCJ, whichever second tall option they go for. Just to ask you a question without notice, who are you going, Finbar or CCJ for the second key position role?
I think Finbar, but it wouldn't surprise me if they play CCJ. But I think Finbar he's more dangerous forward, and that's what we need. We can't just rely on Larky to kick 5
Here's a question for you that I just thought of. Do you think they travelled him to Launceston last week so that he didn't play, so he was fresh for the 5-day break?
So I think he'll play. Same with Will Phil. I'm so confident Will Phil will play, and I think that, especially if they're banged up, keep them fresh. So I think CJ, I did think of that. I think he may come in. But Finbar's more. Well, the problem is Darcy as a second ruck, isn't it? It's going to be too much for Finbar.
Yeah, probably.
He's just a monster. He'll be too, but CCJ will be able to compete as a more experienced ruckman against him. Unfortunately, he won't be able to clunk the marks Finbar can up forward. The problem with Finbar marking it up forward, it's normally a pack type mark. He has to go back and have the set shot. If he doesn't kick the goal, it's effectively a turnover by foot. So his goal kicking has improved, but outside 40, he's like Larky. Larky can't kick goals from outside 40, but Finbar's probably worse. But inside 40, he's better. But he's not like Larky, who's elite.
Now that I've just thought of that, I think he will play. I'd be shocked if he doesn't play
CCJ.
Yeah. Because Clarko mentioned in his presser that they'll look to bring some fresher bodies in. So that just all made sense.
The other thing you could do is you could play, when Darcy goes in the ruck, you could throw Dawson in the ruck. He's a bigger body, but he's still only a kid. He's still a teenager. Can you believe it?
I can.
Yeah, good.
Because he's the youngest
Well, it's
player in
true.
the draft.
It's true.
Oh, it's true.
Yes.
Kurt Angle for any WWE fans out there. I forgot Bailey Williams as well. He floats back there, but he's sort of more a wing, and he's not as destructive as Dale off the half back line. And
It's funny because early rounds last year, Dale was dropped.
yeah, maybe he could have been
Was
the
he
one
all
we got
Australian?
instead of
I
Caleb
think
Daniel.
he went close. Yeah, it would have been nice. But anyway.
Anyway, let's have a look at the Bulldogs forward line that you were really keen to get a look at. So they've got the two-prong attack with Darcy and Norton, which just spells trouble. And I think Chom gets the Darcy matchup. If he doesn't play, big shotgun. Good luck, son.
Yeah.
Because he's the only one who's got the height to go with him. You can't put Toby Pink. He's 16 centimetres shorter than him.
Yeah, he can't.
And he can't jump big Toby, unfortunately. And then Norton, well, even then, like Shotgun probably has to play on him if Chom plays, just for the leaping ability, or Toby Pink, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then, as I mentioned, their third tall's Buku, but they've been sort of swapping him in and out as the sub. So then you look at that sort of, we were talking before about their medium size, how they don't really have any outside of Bont when he rests forward. Like they've got the likes of Lathan Vandermeer, Riley West, who's having a really underrated season, Sam Davidson, and then Riley Sanders as well. So Vandermeer sort of plays a bit taller than he is, and so does West. They're probably not quite on the PC level, but they're pretty good marks for their size. So that'll be damaging as well. But the Bont's the big one. Like when he goes forward, who gets that matchup will be the burning question, because Elmac's sort of perfect for that role. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll probably get a clearer idea when teams drop tonight as to who that sort of third or fourth tall defender option will be. Right, so let's get into predictions. Chief, who's winning and what is the margin?
Well, I've got the Bulldogs winning. I wasn't impressed with what I saw from North last week, and I know you can have a bad week. Unfortunately, we're a bit banged up and coming off a 5-day break. So, events have conspired against us. So I've got the Bullies, and I'm being optimistic and saying 28, but I can see it getting nasty. I've got no faith in this team at the moment for big events. We look at Good Friday every year, we get smashed. Absolutely smashed.
Yeah.
And this is a Good Friday equivalent. And
It's bigger, in my opinion.
yeah, so I've got no faith, but if the players respond to Dennis's message like we did at the beginning of the pod, there's some hope.
Yeah,
I just want to see us be competitive.
So do I.
If we get blown away by 80 points, it's going to be a horrible night.
Don't expect to tune in here and hear too many positives.
Oh, I think the Bullies are better than Hawks.
So
I think they got a better midfield, and the Hawks midfield smashed us last week.
They've certainly got a better forward line,
Yeah,
I think, anyway.
yeah.
Um,
Well, if you're back shoulder with them, they're still too tall.
yeah, I'm going to go the Dogs as well. I'm hoping that it can be under 40 points, but I've got them, let's say 30.
Okay.
And then even 30. So, right, let's get to Baz's big call. Jeez, we went well last week, didn't we? Said we'd win contest clearance and tackles, and we weren't zip from 3.
We won slipovers.
Yeah. Right, my big call this week sort of goes a bit on what we've just spoken about. I think the playing group will be up after the Dennis speech, the occasion, all the legends in the rooms prior to the game. I think it's going to be a pretty simple one. We just win the first quarter, something we have been horrific at in the last, well, probably under Clarko, to be fair.
Yep.
But I'm backing them in to at least win the first quarter, and that's sort of the first KPI for me, that they come out and have
Win
a
the
fair
first
kick
quarter.
and
That's
crack.
going to be hard because we're horrendous in first quarters traditionally.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't get any better after that. But,
No.
I like it. Let's hope we can win the first quarter.
Right, before we get to our listeners' favourite North moments, let's quickly touch on our favourite 25s for the 125th episode of our pod. So I'm going to apologise to Baz's swagger man, Paul Curtis, because I'm not picking him, but I'm going to go Robbie Tarrant. Loved him. He had gigantic muscles as well, as we've talked about. Will Phil was the 26 inches. I think 32-inch pythons for Robbie Tarrant. No, but resilient, turned his career around, so many injuries early on. Looked pretty good as a forward, just couldn't get his body right, and then turned into a superstar defender that held down the back line for so many years.
It was like playing tennis up against the wall with Robbie at centre-half back. They just couldn't get it past him. He was fantastic. And he had that. He should have been All-Australian. Don't get me started when Hurley was named All-Australian because he got marks from the chipping sideways to him. Robbie Tarrant went about 20 rounds without losing a one-on-one contest.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's disgraceful.
It's disgraceful. And both teams were down the bottom at that stage, or not in the 8. But the bigger club got it, and that's typical bigger club bias, in my opinion. And fair dinkum still spewing about it. Love Robbie, but PC's my man. I love him. I picked him early. He's got X Factor. His first couple of games, you can see this kid's got X Factor. He's going to be good, and everyone's talking about his breakout season this year, but he was really good last year as well. And he's shown it's hard in our forward line, as we know, but he is fantastic, and I look forward to watching him for another decade.
Oh, he's future star. Well, he's a star. And so much more to come at such a young age. Right, so you didn't know about this, Chief, but I put out a forum for our listeners to send in some of their favourite moments supporting the Shimboners to get us all involved and celebrate some great moments. So we'll start on Instagram, where Looney_25 says Aaron Edwards, hanger in the 2007 finals, the one against Hawthorn. Remember that huge grab?
Yes.
We won that. I remember winning that game too. That was some of my earliest memories.
And I remember Smith. What was his first name? Jesse Smith, BAG, and then he did his ankle not long after that, and we never saw him again. But he looked like a really bright spark for us, son of a gun as well.
Alba Gop, 1993, round 15 versus Essendon at the MCG. Carey, Longmire, McAdam, and Roberts all on fire.
Yeah, love it.
That's lots of great memories through the 90s. There's a ton of ton of answers here about the 2014 elimination final. You and I were both there. It's a great moment. Brock Walsh has said here, me sitting with you and your old man in the elimination final. A bit of a context behind that story. We took him over, didn't we? And he's a Hawthorn man, so we went to Hawthorn Geelong the night before, and Hawthorn got up, and we were thinking this is going to be a horrendous trip if the Kangas don't get it done and 30-odd points down at half-time.
Yes, I went to the toilet and all the North Scars were wanting to sack, almost lynch Brad Scott, saying he had no plan B and everything. And I thought, well, you could be onto something, but let's be patient. There's still half a game of football to go, but we need to turn it on in the third quarter. And, of course, we did.
Benny Brown was huge that game. I've watched that game at least 20 times, I reckon.
And the best bit was the banter with the Essendon supporters around us. And then the depression they suffered at the end of the game.
Guess what? They're still waiting.
Yeah, they're still waiting
to win the final. Matty Mill, same game here, but I love this comment. Dish Petrie versus Essendon. The Frank the Tank, but the neck crank Selly was better. Neck crank celebration where he just gave it the old side to side. And I can picture it now. It's one of those things that you can see the footage because Lindsay jumps on him as well. It was after the second goal where he kicked that banana.
Yep. I've got one. We'll just get the next one up. 1993, the Collingwood at Victoria Park. And that was probably the coming of us because we hadn't won there forever. And I think McAdam kicked a lazy 8 or something. I can't remember how many exactly. And they were hyped up. They were obviously premiers a few years earlier. And we smashed them on their home dung heap. And it actually was a dung heap. And that's when the belief, I think, came for all the North fans and the players that would be, and we went on to play finals that year for the first time in a while.
Yeah, I'll just keep pumping these out because it's so good to see the variety of answers. Big Cam Zerha on Instagram, fan page chief, not the man himself. Boomer's record-breaking 427th. Well, that was a very special night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Dave
always won his highlight or his milestone games.
Dave OC 24. This is one of my favourites, and it's not a huge moment or anything in the club, but I love it. When Cunnington punched Bernie Vince in the guts. Do you remember that? That was brilliant.
What, he got a cop to fine, no doubt?
We've got one, he would have got bloody 3 weeks for it now.
Lost some fishing gear.
Yeah.
He would have got in trouble when he got home from
Mrs.
the wife.
Cunnington, not happy.
Not happy.
Stephen James on Facebook. Me chasing the elephant as a young fella, wanting to get my turn on it. And he's put the photo up and circled himself. And
there he is.
When the elephant came to Arden Street.
Yes. Wow, that's good.
That's good. He's provided the footage too, which is magnificent. Jimmy Stevens, when Boomer got knocked out early on the match and then came back on and kicked that famous goal. Then it was his 250th against the Dogs.
Yeah, another milestone win.
Oh, yeah, he was just lifted. He was such a great player, but he just went the extra mile, didn't he?
Yeah.
Here's one that I remember. What year would it have been? 2011, I reckon. He played the Saints round 2. Had his lowest ever disposal tally against Clinton Jones, tagged him for the Saints. I think he had 8 touches or something. Came out the next week and had 43 and kicked a couple. And that was the game where he almost kicked the greatest goal of all time.
The 7 bounce point.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Never beaten. Obviously, lowered your colours one week. Get out in there and smash them the next week. I love it. That's a competitor. That's the champion.
And what a man he was. Matthew Samia Hogue, I hope I've said that right. Jason McCartney's comeback match, the only time I've left the ground crying. Now, that is a very common answer, I will say. A lot of people put that, and yeah, that's one of those things that's almost bigger than footy, those moments, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I will put in my edition of that from my time watching footy would be Majak's comeback game after he almost, lost his life and came back and worked back, and we ended up smashing Adelaide up at Metricon during COVID.
Yes.
Right.
That was one of our 3 wins for the year, wasn't it? So that was extra special but well done to Majak for coming back.
The emotion when he kicked that goal.
Talk about wanting someone to back you up in a fight in a pub.
Yeah.
I think I'd take Madge.
What were your
Just
thoughts?
the muscles on muscles he had.
What were your memories of the Jason McCartney? Because obviously it was a bit before my time. But
Well,
take our younger listeners through what that was like.
I had to go to a work function. Can you believe it?
Oh, no.
Someone was leaving work.
Bad luck.
Well, it was
Write him a card.
It was a good mate of mine.
Leave him a fruit basket.
I know, and I was disappointed because we weren't getting a lot of Friday nights at that time, and so I missed the match, but I've watched it many a time on replay. But can you believe it? I'll tell you who it was. It was Hacky.
I was going to guess him.
Oh, I can't believe it. We'll leave work a week later.
Yeah.
My God, do it when. It's like my social events are normally closed if North are playing.
Yes, don't even bother booking something on the same day.
Yeah, exactly. I won't go to anything, but I sort of had to go to that
Yeah.
one. And it was one of the North's greatest matches ever. So, yeah, thanks, Nate.
Daniel Leeworthy on Facebook. The 94 qualifying final at Waverley. First extra time game in history. Coming of age game for us when we struggled against the Hawks for a long time. Sounds like now. It was glorious. The sun was shining bright in more than one way. Carey, another unbelievable game. Well, that's most of his games, isn't it?
Yeah, he stood up. I think he kicked 3 in the time on, or maybe 2 in the extra time. I can't remember, but it was certainly the difference. Just fantastic, and beat the Hawks, who we had struggled to beat up until then.
Lots of comments, of course, around the premierships, which is to be expected, and the way to be able to celebrate after that. It's certainly something I'm very much looking forward to when our time comes again, which hopefully isn't that long, because it's been some dire times the last 5 years, Chief, in between drinks. We'll move on next to Instagram. Clark Owen says, Ian Fairley's mark and goal to steal the 96 flag and being able to strut into school most Mondays in the 90s after another Carey masterclass.
It was fantastic, the 90s. Like, I was in my 20s in the 90s, and it was just fantastic. The big barrel chest walking around. But mind you, it was still nervous because you needed to get the premierships on the board. And as I said earlier in the pod, we probably left 1 or 2 out there, particularly 98. We don't want to mention that.
No.
But it was great knowing that you were right in the mix every week, and you were just hoping, no one got suspended or injured, which did affect us in a couple of those years. Hence why we didn't probably win the premierships.
Righto, keeping the train going, Chief. Deb O'Connor. I was lucky enough to go to the AFLW Grand Final last year to see our first premiership, and that was a great night for all. Obviously,
It was the longest day ever, wasn't it? Waiting for that because we were the best team, undefeated. But how often do you see, through all levels of football, teams go through undefeated and then they get rolled on the only match that counts? But our girls, didn't even give them a sniff, and that was fantastic. Yeah. First premiership this century.
Yeah. Do you know what else is a memory?
Although I'll give the VFLW girls a tick. They won it, and I think they're on top of the ladder at the moment. So we might go back to back in both the women's leagues this year.
One of my favourite moments when Emma Carney dropped the magic in the pre-game.
Oh, I love it.
Hate these bitches.
I love it.
Ben Brown, when he kicked 10 against the Power in 2019.
Yes.
Yeah, what a moment that was.
I think Larky kicked 5.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and we thought, well, here we go. We're right. We'll be winning premierships in the early 20s.
Yeah. Our Lip Trop says, I reckon Longmire's 14 against Melbourne. I was 12 years old and taken to the MCC by a neighbour who went for Melbourne. Oh, of course he went for Melbourne. Go D's. I was a total feral North kid yelling and cheering surrounded by a disgusted D fans.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Good work.
Oh, that's
I
brilliant.
reckon they had the spare seats because it must have been ski season.
Yeah. Dean Millison, beating Collingwood at Victoria Park in 93 is probably the core memory I have. being there in the cheer squad, being spat on by Collingwood
Yeah,
supporters.
love it. That's the one I was talking about earlier, so well done. I didn't know that was in the rundown.
And then he's also put in here being on the interchange bench as a boy when the siren went for the elimination final comeback against the Blues in 1985.
Shimmer's game. Yeah, I should have mentioned that myself. Well done. He's 2 from 2. Love it.
Chris has said Mako Shark slotting the winning goal against Port Adelaide, and that is the Twitter handle for Troy Makepeace. Remember that game where he kicked the game winner?
Yes.
Magnificent. Mark Versace, Majak Dawes Mark of the Year against the Pies. Gee, he's still up there.
Yeah. He's had a good sit. Yeah.
There's heaps here. David King's soccer goal from the centre square.
Yes, love it. That Eddie had, or Marvel, whatever it's called.
And then the George, Tom and Harry shows said, my last game in Melbourne before moving back to Queensland when Byron kicked 6 in his 100th game.
Byron, what a star.
Oh, this is magnificent just to go through memory lane for so many supporters. It's brilliant. Denko travelling for 24 hours on top of a crowded little cargo boat on the northeast coast of Papua New Guinea to get to a small town to watch the 96 grand final on a 34 centimetre television. And Fruity's mark, the 1985 elimination final again. Last VFL game at Arden Street, AFLW Premiership, Shimmer's 300th and all of 1993.
Yeah, love it. And that going back to that bloke on the boat, that's commitment.
That is...
That's putting your nose right in the trough.
He's not mucking about there. He might get in the CCC, that bloke.
Yeah, I think he... Yes, I think he will.
That's magnificent. I love these stories. So here we go. Josh Richards, my man. Not my favourite all time, but Lindsay Thomas slotting the goal from 50 with no boot on.
Yeah.
Oh, that was brilliant. Oh, geez, we miss LT, don't we?
Yes, we
What a
can do it
great
with him
player.
now, couldn't we?
Here's one for you. As soon as I saw this guy comment this, I thought of you. Rusty Snakes just put simply Snake Baker.
Yes.
It's a human highlight machine.
I took a lot of the snake bakers in the front yard as a kid. Just, what do you call it now? Markers up, end to end we called it. And you just sit on someone's shoulders and baker.
Edward Williams standing next to Phil Baker at the North Social Club watching North play when he was a Geelong player. Can't tell you what he said about Geelong, but he was traded back to North in 77. There you go. And then here we go. Our man, the Cactus. Right, he sent one in and said, Big Chief announcing camel toe injury. It's his favourite memory of all time. So,
I knew it'd be loose coming from the Cactus.
and then one last one. We'll end on Rude Tragic, who shares similar memories to us, where he says, great memories with my sons at the MCG beating Essendon and then rocking up again to upset Geelong in the semi-final.
Yeah.
But the big one for me, being at the 75 grand final win, it had David versus Goliath vibes. It was living history.
Yeah, love it.
So huge thank you to all our listeners for sending those in. Such a great variety of memories through all the generations.
All the eras, yeah, it was good.
Before we wrap up, we'll just quickly fire through our tipping.
Yep.
Huge congratulations. 67 tipsters tipped 7. So I'm not going to read them all out.
No.
If it was a 9, I would, but
Yeah.
it's a 7.
Well, it's hard to get 9 out of 7.
Yeah.
But we normally do it if you get everyone right for the round, but being the bye round, and I must admit, when I put my tipping in, I thought I'm a fair chance.
Well, you got
because it was a
7.
fairly easy round.
You tipped 7. I tipped 6 because, as we mentioned on the previous pod, that I tipped
You changed.
North.
Yeah,
Right, let's get into round 17. So, thanks again to our friends at SC Rings for sponsoring our tipping competition. Remember, if you are lucky enough to walk away as the winner, you'll have the big, shiny Michael Jordan style ring. Right, we've both tipped the Dogs. Friday night, Carlton Collingwood.
Collingwood.
Same for me. West Coast and the Giants. What? Grind my gears. Why is there a doubleheader on a Friday night and it starts an hour difference?
After.
Like, if it's in Perth, started at 9:30.
Yeah, don't know. Who was that?
Sorry, the Eagles and the Giants.
Yeah, Giants.
Yeah, same for me. Bombers and the Suns.
Suns.
Same. Geelong will beat Richmond, we both say. Brisbane, Port.
Brisbane.
I don't know why you hesitated. Same for me. St Kilda and Hawthorn.
Hawks.
Hawks for mine. Sydney and Fremantle at the worst surface in Australia.
Well, I'll go Sydney only because it's home, and I don't think Freo travelled that well.
My Dockers get it done.
Oh, okay.
I'm on the Docker train.
That's the point of difference so far.
Then to close out the round, I assume we'll both take Adelaide to beat Melbourne.
Yes.
Right, well, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in and going down memory lane a little bit with us. It's been really fun to do. And to everyone going along, hopefully you have a great night. And remember, the club has said to get in your seats by 6:40
Be there by
for all the pre-game.
Yep.
Just a disclosure, we were going to go. We actually booked tickets, flights and accommodation for the round 20 game because that was what was announced, and they've changed it on us.
Versus Geelong.
Yeah.
So now we get to go and watch North play Geelong. I'm expecting a big win from North. At least we don't have to go down to that silly ground of theirs, Cardinia.
I've never been there.
Neither have I, but we never play well there, so we're a bit better chance playing at Marvel. But yeah, we should have been there for this celebration, but the club and the AFL moved it to Thursday night, which is better for TV. It'll be a TV product, but yeah, get along early and enjoy it at the ground, and hopefully the boys show up and get inspired by Dennis's pre-game, then we come out and win.
And if you're thinking about going 50-50, go. It'll be an amazing occasion,
Yeah.
regardless of the result, the build-up and the celebration of the history. And you never know. You might be able to say, I was there for the 100th when we had a huge upset.
They might really shinbone a spirit at.
When Baz's man, Cam Zerha, kicked 7 and we beat the Dogs.
Yeah.
There's something
Who
about
knows?
the Dogs.
Anything. It's a 2-horse race.
Drew kicked
we're a
6
chance.
1/4 against the Dogs.
Yep.
So, yes, very much a start 0-0. But get along, support the boys. It'd be great to see 40,000 plus at the Marvel to celebrate the 100-year anniversary of our brilliant North Melbourne Footy Club that we all love so much.
Yep. All right. Enjoy the game. Carnagangas.
Thanks, guys. We'll be back in the weekend to review hopefully a good win, but at the very least a competitive performance. Until next time, Gurus!
Good old North Melbourne, they're champions, you'll agree. North Melbourne is the team that plays to win for you and me.